So, but guest bloggers, why did you decide to start incorporating guest bloggers? When did you start doing it?
Sure, I think it's been about a month or two now that we started incorporating guest bloggers. I got some suggestions from other people that, you know, a good way to generate content would be to have some guest bloggers, and of course we're all drowning in work here, so having guest bloggers helps alleviate some of the workload in maintaining the blog. So I approached, I just put out on Twitter, you know, we're looking for guest bloggers. If you're interested, let me know. And the way it turned out, it actually turned out perfect because each blogger that has contacted me has a specific interest. So one girl blogs about work, attire, and traveling. So she travels a lot and she works a lot, so just things she finds that have been convenient for her. Another girl is all about budget shopping, so she tries to find things $100 or less, so that's great. And then there's another blogger, and she actually has her own blog, Chick Lit Is Not Dead, and she used to be producer at, I think, Oprah and some other places, so she has a great following, so that's great. And she blogs about moving from LA to Chicago and just the weather changing and how to dress for the weather, and she has a really quirky way of writing. So she's actually gotten a a lot of comments.
Well, that's kind of the nice thing about guest bloggers too, is it's almost like you can kind of learn from them also as more experienced bloggers to see kind of what works and how they approach it.
Exactly.
Because we don't get a lot of comments on the blog, but now we're kind of seeing how that works, and you have to kind of interact a little more to get those comments, and she does a good job.
And I think it gives a really good perspective to kind of feed off what Alyssa was just saying. It gives us kind of a perspective to the public that we aren't perfect and we don't know everything yet. And even though we have over 520 stores, and that you would think that we from hosting the blog that we would be the only one that would want to operate it and the only one to kind of control the whole thing because it's our mall. But it kind of shows the public that we don't know everything and we want your input. And you are the reason we're here because you are the consumer. So what do you think? What do you want to buy? What do you like?
Well, we don't have a huge team of people who can just sit and work on the blog. It's like we're taking kind of our spare time to get the blog going so that we can offer people, something more exciting.
And that is, I mean, especially with business blogs, you don't appear to have this issue, but with business blogs you often have it becoming a chore for the people who are responsible for it.
Sure.
So, I mean, have you run into that at all? And is the guest blogger thing part of it, or is it just you're so swamped with other things that that was an elegant solution for it?
I think it depends.
I think the blog is something that we are most excited about working on. It's just lack of time. You have to kind of find different ways to approach it because you have to be realistic about, what it is you need to do on a day-to-day basis.
I think we could all admit that we wished we could do more. But I don't know. I mean, there is such thing too. I think with blogs where you can saturate it a little too much too. If you almost do too much, especially when it's a company blog, I think some of the guests would automatically assume, oh, they're only pushing things because they want to sell things. And that's another reason the guest bloggers are fantastic, is that they show, oh wait, maybe they're not just trying to sell things because this is the public and they don't care, if these shoes sell out, or they're not trying to help a store that's hurting. So I like that too about the guest bloggers. And when you don't give all of the multiple posts a day or 15 posts a day, it kind of keeps people coming back. They don't feel, especially if you connect it with Facebook and Twitter, and they don't get inundated with it, where they eventually want to hide you.
Right. So how does that, leading to my next question, is how does the blog fit in or complement your other communications efforts?
I mean, with the huge blow up of social media, obviously with Twitter and Facebook, I think it fits in quite well. I mean, it's cross promotion. I mean, where everyone's online now, so having a blog and being able to complement what we do in addition to our website and presenting in a way that people would hopefully like to read and the less formal, like we're not selling you anything, we're not marketing you directly. I think it really just complements what we do. And if you guys want to add anything to that, but I think the look of the blog, and I think it's still a learning curve for us too in attaining readers and trying to post content that people would be interested in.
Yeah, we're really trying to kind of streamline all of our communication and make it all similar formats. So we're still in the process, but we're just really trying to be clear and concise and simple, but get the point across at the same time. So the blog looks like that. I mean, it's a clean look, and you know, hopefully our website will get that way, and everything else that we're doing kind of starting to skew that way as well.
Sure.
And Facebook is the second top referring site. So we do get a lot of traffic from Facebook to the blog. Just from, you know, if we add a post, we'll share it on Facebook or, you know, tweet about it or whatnot. Just kind of cross promote to kind of.
And we do with our personal accounts as well, which has been really helpful. And I know that, you know, it's really nice. And I know that people say social media can go two ways. Like, do you want to, you know, integrate it with your personal account or do you not? And there's that big question of, do you combine the two or not? But I think it's been really beneficial for us. I know that just my playlist alone, that some of my biggest followers are my friends and family that now get it and they share with their friends, and you know, my cousins will post it to their wall and say, look what my cousin's doing, you know, and then their friends get to see it who I've never met before. So it's just a really cool world to get out there and share it like that.
Right. What's the biggest surprise you've had so far out of blogging?
It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. But it's fun. It's, you know, a nice break from the work that we do, and it's fun to be able to, you know, feature things that we get excited about, and really see things come together. I mean, even the look of the blog has evolved. I mean, it went from being 3 columns, and the header was different, to 2 columns, and using graphics to correspond with or correlate with all our other collateral, our e-newsletters, our website. Just things like that, and just seeing it come together and seeing the product on the screen and seeing comments and seeing people make comments about it is very rewarding.
Lastly, do you have any tips for someone who would be thinking about starting a company blog in particular? What they should think about, and any tips?
I would say one tip is to really have a focus and not be all over the place. I think if, you know, whatever company it is, it should be focusing, whether it's a CEO blog or it's, you know, just focus on
your
the subject.
audience.
Yeah, and who the audience is.
And ours is really broad, so we had a really hard time. But we learned that, you know, it's generally women, and it's generally
fashion focused.
And usually teens through 30s is probably the primary reader. And I think you also have to be prepared to fail at some things, and that was really hard for us to accept right away. Like even for the style cred, the one that we did, which, you know, scouted around the mall and tried to find, you know, fashionistas to take their picture. That was hard for us because we didn't want it to go away. We didn't want it to fail, and we were finally like, all right, let's take it off, you know, because that was one of our first ideas, and we wanted it to do well, and we didn't want to admit that one of our ideas didn't do so well. But you just have to keep going and replace it with something else, and hopefully that'll work.
Well, I think you have to have enough time to commit to it, but then also give it time too, because it's not just gonna.
The patience.
I mean,
a lot of
you're
patience.
gonna have to. You're just gonna have to kind of tweak it and work with it, and you know, it takes a while to get followers.
Yeah, ours took a long time.
To get that follow, and I think
still a lot we could probably.
And
do.
there's so many, so you're fighting, which is hard.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.